Okay. Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's special workshop. My name is Becky, and today we're going to be talking all about Google Maps. How to get ranked on the Google map in your service area for the most important keywords so that you can generate more leads, so that you can generate more sales, so that then you can generate more booked jobs. Scott from our team is going to walk you through the workshop.
Hey everyone, hope you're all well. So we all know Google is still where it's at, but the game's constantly changing, especially in this new age of AI and ChatGPT. So I'm really excited to share some new things we're seeing on our end as it relates to Google Maps optimization, emerging AI platforms like ChatGPT, and really making sure we're coming up where the customers are looking. I'm going to share my screen with you guys here and we'll get going. Okay. So we did put together a workbook for today's session. I'm going to really talk about big picture. Here's what you need to do. Here's how you need to do it to optimize your map listing, get it ranked, and to make sure your lawn and landscape company is coming up. If you want to download that workbook, you can do that by going to wslandscapemarketing.com/maps-workbook. Mark or Becky, if you guys could please drop that link into the chat for those who are on with us live. This has a really nice little checklist for you guys. So having that nice tight checklist just helps everything be clear, like on what next steps are. I'm actually just going to pull it up here real quick too, so you can see it. While I'm pulling that up, if you guys could just type open, if you're able to get that open for me, that'd be really helpful so we can make sure you guys can see that. Okay, so you need to make a copy. That'll be your own copy. And then here's the workbook. So there's a little intro section right here. Down a little lower, these are some initial optimization things you need to do. So this is some one-time stuff. Once you've done it, you're done. Down here is some more recurring maintenance, things you need to do on a recurring basis. Down here is a video verification guide. I'll get into this a little bit more in the webinar, but in this day and age, it's a lot harder to get your profile verified. It's a real pain in the neck. And so this little checklist here is going to help you with that. If you recently changed your address, or if you're having trouble getting your profile verified. And then if you're rejected, there's some steps down here. And then if your profile gets disabled or hidden, there's a little reinstatement checklist at the bottom. A little lower on the page, there's some more goodies, which I'll talk about further into the webinar. So again, just type open if you guys were able to get that. So it looks like a bunch of you guys got that. If you want to make a copy of it, by all means, go ahead and make a copy. Now, Google Maps optimization fits into our growth engine for lawn and landscape companies, right? It's just one piece of the overall system we want to run in order to accelerate our lead flow, grow our lawn or landscape business. And if you don't mind in the chat, let me know what type of lawn or landscaping company you are. Are you lawn care? Are you landscaping, design build? Are you full service? Maybe you're something else. Just let me know in the chat as well. Okay, Max, full service. Hey, Max, good to see you, man. At the end of the day, we want to make sure that we can generate as many leads, as many sales, as many booked jobs as possible to hit our goals and targets. And so this growth engine is our philosophy on how to make that a reality. We've got to do three things. Number one, we've got to drive leads. Number two, we've got to maximize the conversion of those leads into booked jobs and into repeat customers and referral customers. And then number three, we've got to optimize results, right? We're going to be spending money on marketing at some level, whether it's the website, the SEO, the Google Maps, the local service ads, whatever it is, we're going to be spending money. We've got to figure out what's actually generating a good return on investment, what's actually generating results, and do more of that, right? And so, really when we drive leads, it falls in the three main categories. Organic, which is your website, your local rankings, your Google Maps profile, your free directories, and things like that. We've got paid search, right? Local service ads, Google ads, Bing ads, Facebook ads, TikTok, YouTube, all of those, and retargeting. And then we've got database, which is those past customers that have done business with us, figuring out how to get them to use us again and again and again, right? And so we're going to optimize for all of those three key strategies in order to maximize our lead flow. And then in order to maximize conversion, we've got to make sure our website is built to convert. It's making it easy for someone to say, all right, I want to schedule with these guys and reduce that friction they have as much as possible. We've got to make sure we've got our reputation dialed in. So when they're trying to decide, like, is this a quality company? They see your reviews, they see your quality organization, they see you can be trusted. And then we want to leverage automation. That's one of the coolest things you can do to improve your conversion rates is leverage automation and two-way text messaging to be quicker to follow up with your leads, to connect with your prospects the way they want to be connected with, and to really automate the entire flow. And then ultimately, we want to optimize our results, which means we've got to track how much are we spending on marketing right now. In some cases, we've got to spend more, right? In some cases, we've got to increase our spend to hit the goals, hit the targets we set for ourselves. But we want to do that with a clear metric on what's our average cost per lead. So if we're going to spend more, does that average cost per lead make my financial sense? And then we've got to track the ROI, right? Is there a return on investment? Am I spending $1 and getting 5 to 10 out on the other side? If we don't track that, this whole thing becomes something we're just throwing money at. And so this is our growth engine with all the key things we want to think about, all the key things we want to put into play. Today, we're going to be focusing right here on organic in the top left. We're going to just laser focus on how to get ranked in the most important place that your customers are looking, the most important free result, which is the Google map. Just type engine if it's helpful sometimes to zoom out and look at the big picture before we zoom into something as granular as let's make sure we're coming up in the map listings in our service area. So this is our growth engine. In the workbook, I gave you guys a visual of this just so you can kind of connect the dots, or maybe here's something I need to focus on next. Here's where I need to be putting my attention right now in my business. But today, we're right up here in the organic column, focused on getting those free clicks, those free rankings. I'm just going to ask a little bit of housekeeping. This is a live session, so close out the distractions, close out the other tabs, whatever else you're working on. Let's give this our undivided attention over the next 45 minutes to an hour and get you the latest information on how to get ranked on the map, to generate more leads and more sales. Just type good if you're good with those rules of engagement. I always love to double confirm you guys are good with that. All right, good, good, good. I'm seeing goods coming in. I appreciate it. Here's what we're going to cover today. In this day and age, AI has become a part of our everyday lives. We're going to chat about whether that is disrupting local search and whether that should be a focus for you to get more customers. We're going to focus on the latest updates to the Google Map listings and how things have changed. And this is constantly iterating, constantly updating. We're going to talk about the 5 biggest issues that could actually be harming your rankings in today's market. There were things that you might have put in play or your previous provider might have put in play a year ago, 2 years ago, that are actually harming your ability to rank today. So we're going to look at those to see if there's any gotchas that are already happening. We're going to talk about our proven model for getting ranked in the 3-pack, and I'll share some examples and case studies of here's the company, here's where they're ranking, here's what's happening with the results. But it's a nice type process that if you do this, you'll get the results and the outcomes in terms of coming up on the map. And then the best tools to systematize and automate the heavy lifting. Just give me a yes. If we cover that today, you can walk away with a clear plan. You'll feel like this is a good use of your time. Just type yes in the chat. Okay, perfect. All right, awesome. Okay, real quick before we dive in, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Scott Coulard, part of the Web Search Landscape Marketing team. We've been in business for more than 20 years now. And before that, I spent 6 years personally working on the lawn mowing crew. Our agency started off as a generalist, working with everyone from dentists to manufacturers to industrial B2B companies, running some pretty complex campaigns. But over the years, we discovered that the systems we built, especially around this local SEO topic we're covering today, were very effective for lawn and landscape companies. So we went all in on the green industry. But more important than any of that, we've had the chance to work with lawn and landscape business owners across the country. We've seen firsthand what works to consistently attract qualified leads, grow revenue in real world conditions, not in theory, not in hype. So what we're sharing with you today comes directly from those trenches, working closely with real companies in highly competitive markets, testing what works, refining what doesn't, and building repeatable systems that generate consistent results. Along the way, I'll share some real examples, what the strategy was, how we implemented it, and then the impact it had so you can see how this applies to your business too. And this is what we do as an organization, right? We've got a team that does this day in and day out. Build the websites, get them ranked, optimize the maps profile, put the automations in place, track everything, put a system in place to grow. So if at any point we're covering this deep topic and you're like, you know what, Scott, this sounds great. I'd love to have you guys take this on for me. I'd love to partner with you to have you guys run our internet marketing. We'd love the opportunity to chat. If that's you and you're interested in that, you can go to wslandscapemarketing.com/schedule. This is a free meeting. We'll schedule a time, see your situation, see if there's an opportunity, talk about how we can help. Becky or Mark, if you could please put a link in the chat for that, I'd appreciate it. So into the topic of the day, Google Maps, do they still matter? If the algorithm is constantly changing, and how many of you guys have seen change? Just type change in the chat. If you feel like, man, there was a time when it was just the map, and now there's these paid listings, and there's LSA, AI results, and then it seems like the map results keep moving further and further down and becoming less and less relevant. So does it even matter? Is it even worth putting any attention to this? I see a bunch of you guys typing change. It's changed. It's constantly changing for sure. So here's what our statistics are telling us. Even in today's market, yes, we know everything I just said. We know the placement on the search results have changed, but here's the latest stats. Most of the clicks, despite all the other moving parts, 80 to 95% go to the organic listings and only 5 to 10% go to the ads. So in today's market, the number one place your customer looks is Google, right? That's not even a close second in this moment. And we'll share some more stats around that too. But they're taking their phone out, your customer, or they're going to their desktop. They're searching for lawn service in my area, landscaper near me, right? And the lion's share are clicking on the map results. So yes, we know this is super, super important. If we drill down even further into the organic results themselves, 60 to 70% of the clicks go to the top results in the map listing, right? So we want to make sure we're ranking on the map in your service area for those most important keywords, because a huge amount of people are bypassing the paid result. They're bypassing LSA, the paid ads. They're clicking directly on the Google map when they need your services. So yes, from the data will tell us Google Map matters. The other question I think comes up often, and it's going to come up more and more, is what about ChatGPT and other AI answer engines? Are you guys using these tools today at all? If you're using any type AI, whether it's ChatGPT, Claude, Gronk, Perplexity, whichever one it is, I know personally I use a bunch of them, literally pretty much all of them. But in the context of personal use, I'll use ChatGPT more often than not for a lot of different things in the home. So one question we should all be asking ourselves is, what about that? Are people going to start using ChatGPT and these other answer engines or AI when they look for lawn or landscape companies? When it comes to the results that come up on ChatGPT, that's really called two things today. I want to get into this, a little bit of terminology, because a lot of that is getting hyped and thrown out there. So it's helpful to understand what people are talking about when they talk about these things. So you have answer engine optimization, or AEO, which is really more Google Voice, AI generated responses, voice assistants like Alexa, and then GEO. That's called generative engine optimization. That's going to be things like ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity. If we go to ChatGPT and we ask it, if I was looking for various lawn or landscape companies, like best landscapers, Tallahassee, Florida, this is the result when you type that in. It's just spitting out a random list here, right? But if you just change the search to a different location and search for best landscapers, Chattanooga, Tennessee, it actually introduces a map result here along with a couple other companies. I'm not saying this has replaced Google today, right? I just want to plant the seed that AI generative optimization is important. More and more of your customers today, tomorrow, maybe 6 months from now, might be gravitating more towards this versus going to Google directly. We want to make sure we're thinking about the map results and all of the map results, not just Google in today's marketplace, because they're starting to serve pretty relevant results, as you can see here. Next month, we're actually going to be doing another webinar, a whole training on AI and AI generative optimization. So keep an eye out for that invitation too. There's a whole thought process around that, a whole strategy around it. What I do want to make sure you're aware of, though, in all of this is Google is still the dominant player, right? There's not even a close second even today. You think about how prolific the search engines are. 2.5 million searches a month for lawn and landscaping services are going to Google. And there's only about 80,000 or less going to ChatGPT and other answer engines, AI engines. So don't feel like, oh, I don't need to focus on Google because it's not even a close second still. But we do want to be thinking about the future in the back of our mind, thinking, where is this headed? So Google is still king, but we do want to make sure we're thinking about the AI generative engines. Right now, we're seeing some traction in AI results when potential lawn or landscape customers are asking questions or they're performing really hyper-specific searches. So back to the question here, do the map listings still matter? We showed you the data. There's a lot of people searching on Google still today. They're still clicking the map listings directly. I want to show an example as we go. This is one of the clients we work with in the East Syracuse, New York area. You can see they come up really well in the map listings, right? So here they're coming up in the top result. They came up really well in generative search engines as well, but we track the data. So it's like, where are the calls and leads actually coming from? So this particular month, they spent about $3,700 in online marketing. We tracked 167 leads for this month. That's an average of $22.47 per lead, 31 leads from paid ads, 35 from organic, and 101 directly from the Google map. So the lion's share of the leads still comes from the Google Maps, right? So if they weren't coming up on the Google map, they would definitely not have the average cost per lead that they do. These results matter. You want a blended result. And I'll say it again and again. We want to be doing paid search. We want to be doing retargeting. We still want to be doing all of it, but we can't rely on just paid search alone. We want to have a strong organic footprint because that's where a lot of the calls come from. That's where a lot of the lead flow comes from. Just type yes in the chat here. If you follow, you're like, okay, yes, I get it. Thanks for showing me the data. Google Maps is still relevant. Just type yes. Max, yes. Thank you, sir. Okay, so what are the biggest changes in regards to Google Maps? So some of the biggest changes we're seeing on the Google Maps recently dropped, and this isn't so recent, but from 7 results to 3. There used to be more companies shown. Now we've only got those top 3 results that are coming up. Google paid ads are now coming up in the map result. So you can't pay for the ranking in the free pack, but through your Google ads and your local service ads campaign, you can actually run ads that show in those map results. And so that's something you want to be thinking of as part of your paid search strategy as well. You'll get really good qualified leads through those ads. Google LSA, Google local service ads is running everywhere, right? And I would say if you were prioritizing your paid search strategy, your paid ads, you want to max out your local service ad spend. Second to that, set up retargeting so we can retarget anybody that enters your world. Third to that, dial in your Google search campaign. And then after that, you're probably looking at Bing search because that's becoming more and more relevant as well. The local service ad is a big driver. Then we talked about earlier the fact there's this new competition coming up from ChatGPT and other generative engines that we want to be focused on. So those are just some of the quick highlights on the big changes. And if you're not already set up with Google LSA, Google local service ads, here's where you set up your local service ads. You can also type LSA into Google and you'll find it as well. If you're not on local service ads, I would highly recommend it. We did a webinar exclusively on paid search and local service ads last month. You can find that replay on our YouTube if you want to do a deeper dive on that. But really what we want to focus on and the goal I would like and have you guys aspire to is to own the search results in your market. When somebody types in your city, plus lawn care, landscaper, hardscaping, weed control. So our goal would be when somebody searches your services in your service area, we want to be showing in local service ads. We want to come up in the map. Ideally, we want to come up organically. And if we play our cards, we want to come up in those second party directory listings as well. We have some clients I can point to that have 5 or 6 results out of the top 15. And then it's a mix of obviously the paid ad, the local service ad, the map listing, their website, and then maybe a lot of markets, the Yelp listing comes up for an individual company, the next door listing comes up. So we want to make sure we're playing our cards to dominate for everything, right? Who cares about keywords that don't have any relevance? To dominate for the keywords that have the most search volume or the highest commercial intent, right? The ones that if your prospects type patio installation in your city, they've got a specific need versus something like landscape design ideas. So with the former type of search, they're trying to figure out, should they hire you specifically or somebody else? And it's going to be a high transaction value service. We want to dominate for those terms, right? And there's a whole strategy around that. Now, Google's been highly focused on spam results, spam listings, fake companies with fake locations that have just tried to game the system. They say they've reduced the fake Google Map listings by 70% since 2015, and they're really cracking down on this more and more over time. This is why that verification process for the Google business profile is a real headache these days. And so could your company be listing on Google be getting flagged as a potential fake listing? Could something you did in the past be causing the issue? This is if you're an established organization and you've been in business for at least 3 to 5 years and you're not coming up in the map results. Sometimes it's the things you set up in the past that are haunting you versus the things that haven't been done yet. So what are those things we're seeing that are pretty prevalent in terms of actually harming rankings? Number one, and this is really huge, is you actually need an office in the city you're targeting to rank well on maps. If you're in North Little Rock, but you want to rank for Little Rock, in geographical proximity on the search results makes a massive difference. There was a time where you could just set up a BS listing or you put your aunt's house in there and get away with it. Not so much in today's market. So we actually want to have a location, an actual map address that we can claim, verify, and optimize around. So that's one thing, making sure you actually have a location that's legit. Number 2 is, did you try to spam in the past, right? Either you or maybe a marketing person on your team or a company you hired, did you set up a bunch of UPS offices, PO boxes, and try to put in fake locations? If you did that, it's probably bringing down your overall authority on Google Maps. you need to be better served to go back and mark the fake listings as deleted or no longer active, and really just optimize the main location and or locations where you have true office space, commercial office or not. The third is where there's inconsistencies of the name, address, and phone number. This is often referred to as NAP or NAP. What we see often is maybe you moved, or maybe your address has a suite number that's a little bit different on one online listing versus the other. So maybe it says one thing on Yelp, but your website says another thing, and your Google profile says a third thing. The consistency of your name, address, and phone number, not just on Google, but how it's shown on Google and Yelp and Angie and Nextdoor and Thumbtack and your website, all these different sites. Google is looking for consistency of that name, address, and phone to match the authority of your organization. So spamming your city in your company name or categories, there's a couple of cases that actually show this for a while is actually impacting in a positive way for rankings, but obviously it's against Google's terms of service for you to, if your name is Steve Cleveland Landscaping and you try to put your city inside your company name just for the sake of giving more relevance to the Google map, you might get away with it for a little bit, but it could actually be harming your rankings over time. And we've seen clients lose their profiles because of this too, especially if they have multiple locations. And then lastly, reviews, right? Obviously, all other things being equal, the companies that have the most reviews win. And so there's actually things we can do on each of these categories to say, hey, let's spot check. Let's find the issue with why there's the listing not coming up in the top 3. Sometimes it's this stuff, right? It's, oh, we just screwed something up and we got to go clean it up. Other times it's your competition has just done more of the right things than you have, right? And we've got to catch up. We've got to be a little bit more aggressive in each of these categories, which I'll be talking about more in depth. So this starts with figuring out what are the keywords your customers are typing when they need your services. And it's not just landscaping, and it's not just landscaping near me. It's a variety of things. Think about all the services you provide. I've got an example of this for lawn care and landscaping. They're typing in lawn care service, landscaping contractors, hardscaping, weed control, in-ground pool designer, retaining wall installers, lawn fertilization, bush trimming, lawn insect control, right? There's a lot of different variations. And then you've got your higher value things like patio installation, landscape designers near me, lawn restoration. We want to see how we're coming up in the map and organically in our service area for all of these keywords with and without the city modifier at the beginning, at the end, and then just that raw term itself. Because Google now, based on where the search is happening, can actually match the searcher to the result, even if they don't stick that city name in there. And there's a couple ways to figure out where you're coming up today. You could run a bunch of searches, right? And literally hand search one at a time. That comes out to, if you use this list, about 120 different keyword combinations. If you put the city in the front, city at the back, and then you take it without the city, and that's time consuming. There's tools that we use, a variety of tools that can automatically combine the most important keywords with commercial intent, figure out what the search volume is, if there's any search volume for that, and then automatically run a ranking report and say, hey, here's the actual where the company ranks in the national search for these terms, and here's exactly where it ranks based on its local geographical grid. So you could do it on your own, probably take you a day and a half. But if you're on today's session, go to wslandscapemarketing.com/schedule. We'll give you a list based on your service area and the services you provide. This is all the keywords with the cities, the modifiers. We'll run a report that shows exactly where you're coming up on Google Maps and Bing. We'll also give you this really neat heat map that shows where you're ranking on your maps in your local market. But this has value, just the time and energy that would go into running this report and getting the data. If you want us to do that for you, you can go to that website there or just scan the QR code. Of course, we'll run the report. We'll walk you through like how good it is, if you're ranking or where there's room for improvement. If you're interested in us helping you actually improve the ranking, so you can talk about that too. But it's not a hard sell thing. We're just going to run that analysis for you. You can go to wslandscapemarketing.com/schedule. Marker Becky, I think, dropped that in the chat for you guys. Okay, so let's talk about the approach, a proven formula to get ranked on the Google map here. There's really 3 key things. Number 1 is we want to claim and optimize the Google map listing, right? And that's your Google business profile, also known as Google My Business. It's had a few names. Number 2 is we've got to build citations. Those are web references of your company's name, address, phone number with consistency, right? So we're showing up like in literally hundreds of places with a consistent name, address, phone number, and mapped out profile. The more citations, the better in terms of your authority as a home service company. Number 3 is online reviews. All other things being equal, if there's 190 contractors lawn, landscape, home service contractors in your market competing for these terms. And you've all got good on-page optimization. You've all got a good map with a real location. All other things being equal, reviews is the great equalizer, right? Usually the company with the most reviews tends to win the day, all other things being equal. So we need a strategy to capture previous client reviews and get them posted on Google and other places too. And then a strategy to get new reviews on a consistent basis and shoot for a high service to review ratio. Then your website, right? Actually, there's very specific things we can do on the website itself. Title tags, H1 tags, meta descriptions, schema markup, where you place your address. That can tell Google, okay, this is an authoritative company serving these locations with a reputable profile that deserves to come up at the top 3 of those results. And we'll talk more about that and how you do that in each of these. Really, it comes down to your trust profile, right? At the end of the day, Google wants to serve the right company in their search results. They want to serve the right company that the consumer, Google's customer, whoever that homeowner is going to get the best result with, right? And so they're looking for trust. And there's a couple of things to look at in order to determine trust. Number one is getting your Google business profile verified, right? Without getting verified, you won't have visibility. There's 2 main ways in this day and age you can verify your map listing. And sometimes you get suspended for a period. Sometimes your account gets dropped away because you changed an address or somebody submitted a false claim about you. The most common method to get verified these days is a live video where you have to show your street or local landmarks, your office, and prove your legitimate business with where you're located. Then you've got video verification with a live rep. That's where you're literally on a call with Google and you're at the location. You're showing them this is the office, this is the signage, answering their questions on the call. They can throw some random questions at you on that call. But in that document I shared with you guys, that Google Maps playbook, there's a whole thing on here with verification processes and what to do if your listing gets suspended. These are the actual internal SOPs we use for our clients. So just know that's there for you as a resource. These are some outdated methods that used to work. They were a lot easier, but Google doesn't offer these because too many people tried to game the system. So you used to be able to do the postcard. You used to be able to just do an email verification. And then they also used to do a phone code verification too, but you can't do those anymore. And next for the trust is your brand authority. This is super important. And I know I'm talking about SEO versus branding, and branding can seem like an abstract concept, but how authoritative your actual company is, the logo, the company, the history, all of that encompasses your brand. And now in this day of AI, that's more important than ever in order to really come up well in the search results and the map specifically. The other big thing for trust is obviously the Google reviews, number of reviews, review sentiment is very important. Review velocity is often overlooked. So the number of reviews you might have is maybe 150, 200, 500 reviews. That's one thing that's useful, right? That's going to help you. That's going to help if the rest of the competition only has 200 or 100 or 10, and you've got 500. But the other thing is, are you getting new reviews based on recency? And is there new reviews happening on a consistent basis? So that review velocity is really important. We don't want to set it and forget it. We want to actively be serving your clients, actively creating a world-class experience, actively getting those clients back to the Google profile where they can post a review and you have consistent volume of growth. Review velocity is also really key when you're running those local service ads for getting those more visible. You connect those ads to your Maps profile and the reviews sync between the 2 platforms. The more quickly and frequently you get reviews, it's going to improve the performance of those Google local service ads. If you've recently been suspended and you get re-triggered, a lot of times that can actually be a good thing. And sometimes you can play with that. If all other things being equal, you have good reviews, your citations are solid, you have a solid website, you feel like you should be ranking in the map, but you're not, going back and requesting a re-verification can sometimes shake it up a little bit and bump you to the spot you should be in the map results. So there's lots of ways to play with that. Then there's also back-end engagement in the actual Google Business Profile portal. So business.google.com, that's where you access your Google Map listing. You or the company that's managing the profile for you should be doing things in the actual platform, right? Whether it's responding to reviews, uploading images, doing Google posts, like actually seeing there's a real IP address, a real computer, logging in and doing something in the back end is really important to Google. And then actually completing your profile. The profile we'll talk about here in a minute. I'll pull up some screenshots, logo, cover image, images of your work, frequently asked questions and answers, lots of things we can play with in the listing itself. Really, if we can optimize for these trust signals, we're telling Google we're a real company that's really in this area, that really cares about our map listing. It's going to act in our favor to get ranked better in the maps. And then there's more advanced things we can do from a local link building perspective. How many of you have heard that link building is bad? Just type bad if you heard. Sometimes links are important, but you get bad links and you get irrelevant links. Links are bad. You can go ahead and type that into the chat quick here. Okay, excellent. So there was a time, look at the history over the last 12 to 13 years, where you'd set up your website, you pull all your keywords into it, and as long as you had more links than the competition, you could actually win. Whether those links were from India or anywhere else, you could win. Google caught on to that, and there was an algorithmic update that said, hey, fake or bad links, now drop your results. That being said, even in today's market, your link profile is one of the key things that's going to drive your rankings. And so what we want to make sure to do is build links that are relevant. And so what does that look like? Relevant links for your lawn or landscape home service company would be like local organizations linking back to you because you supported them in some way or because you do business with them and they do business with you. And so there's some things we can do to pass high authoritative links that will improve your profile, that'll improve your probability of coming up in the search results. One of the best things you can do is local sponsorships. So super easy, super high impact. So think about your local sports teams, like the local school, local clubs. Most of them want somebody to sponsor the t-shirt or sponsor the lunch or sponsor the team so they can pay for the business and things. If you sponsor, and you're going to sponsor anyway, so I'm not saying don't do this for just this case. You could say, hey, look, I just want to make sure if I sponsor the team, you're going to link back to me on your organizational website. And that's because a real organization in your local market, that carries a lot of weight. And you can ask them to possibly do a blog post about you guys, why you sponsored, why they chose you as their sponsor. That can be a great strategy to build local authority. Next, host local community meetups. So this is just bringing together homeowners, especially higher end homeowners you want to do business with, and contractors you refer business to. If you're a lawn care only company, you can refer to a hardscaping company, or you could refer to an interior remodeling company or electricians. A lot of us have those referral networks. Bring those people together in a local meetup through any of those online local meetup websites and create content around it. That can create a local resources page with those same people you refer business to, and they can refer business to you. You link to them, they link to you. That passes authority both ways without being a spammy way to do it. There's lots of little different things we can do to build your authority outside of the obvious, buying links or doing other things that may actually harm your rankings over time. So tactically speaking, here's what we want to do to rank on the Google map. Number one, we had to claim and authorize your Google business profile. I would imagine like you've either done this or through somebody in your team or through a third-party provider. In most cases, I would still suggest, regardless of who you've hired, you should still have access to your Google account, right? Your Google map listing. This is super important because even though you've delegated it, you don't want to abdicate it, right? This is an asset. It's a piece of property you want to control within your organization. So make sure you get access to that Google My Business login, that Google business profile. Make sure you've updated the company to read your actual company name. If you want to play shenanigans, which there's something to be said for adding cities or keywords to your company name for the sake of ranking, you could create a separate DBA for that. That way you make sure you don't get burned by Google thinking you're trying to game the system. Again, that's why they're putting all this stringent verification stuff in play. Obviously, you should link out from your map listing to your website. Use a local number, not an 800 number. You do want to use a tracking number on your profile so you can track the number of calls coming through your Google map listing. Just add your main company number as a secondary number. So you've still got that consistency of your name, address, and phone number, that NAP consistency. You want to use a real address, not a UPS store or a PO box. Those just aren't going to perform well. I will say there is something to be said for virtual offices and secondary towns you might want to rank in, but they need to be under the radar, and you still need to be able to do the map verification. It helps if you're the only business at that address, if you're really going to be able to play that strategy well. Upload photos to your profile. The photos you put in your Google map listing should be your logo, picture of you as the owner, should be pictures of your team, pictures of your best projects. Try and build the authenticity and personality around who you are as an organization. List your hours of operations and services offered. A lot of calls come in the after hours for lawn and landscape companies. So if you only have an answer, let's say between 9 and 7 o'clock Eastern or whatever your time zone is, and you turn that off on your profile, like unavailable after the evening, you can actually come out of the map results during that period of time. And so it's worth figuring out a 24-hour live answer whether you're ringing out to a third party or you're using an AI answering service. And there's some really amazing things happening with AI voice answering today. I think it'd be a shame to not have somebody answer questions, capture the contact details, and even soft schedule the person if they're calling after hours. In the future, we'll do a whole training on this, how to optimize for conversion, some of the new AI tools you can leverage, whether that's AI chat or AI voice. But regardless, make sure your office hours match when you can actually answer the calls. Don't try to game the system, shoot yourself in the foot by saying, hey, we don't have live answers, so we're going to mark ourselves closed after 7 p.m. I've got a couple of screenshots here on how you get into your Google Business profile. Again, make sure you have access to this. Here's where you can go to add photos and add posts. You really want to flesh this out, fill everything out and add things to it, right? Make sure your listing is verified, right? With a little blue check badge next to your profile image. And for that main cover photo, you want to use a team photo or a picture of one of your best projects. Those tend to work best. If you have a great team photo, people want to do business with people they know and trust, and your team is going to be the best because they go to the site actually. Add lots of photos of your work, your logo, things like that. That's like within the photo section of the Google Business profile. There's this performance section in the dashboard. You can really see some data about your profile. You can see your Google profile interactions and views, searches people use to find your profile, how many people calling directly off the map results. A couple other best practices. You want to update your photos and add them on a consistent basis. So don't just set up your Google Business profile, add 5 photos, and then call it a day. This should be something you or a company like ours, which can do all this stuff for you or whoever it is, make sure they're consistently updating it. Create Google posts, right? You might as well make that keyword-rich content. Add photos, add the stuff about the main services you provide at least once every 90 days. Those Google posts are a great place to add information about your services that are most relevant to that season. So in the spring, have a post about remulching and cleanups. In the wintertime, talk about your holiday lighting or your snow removal. We try to post multiple times per week. Respond to reviews. This is big. We know we need more reviews, but I'm shocked and amazed by how many lawn landscape companies are getting reviews, good, bad, and indifferent, and they just leave it. Okay, we got a review. You or somebody in your team should be thanking that person for taking the time to share their feedback and giving you their business. This is a good signal to pass to Google, but it's also a good signal to pass to someone that's thinking about doing business with you to see that you care. There's an FAQ section, frequently asked questions, that can really help with your rankings too. You can actually add those questions yourself. Are you available 24/7? Do you charge for designs? Do you do one-time mows? What are the best materials or plantings you recommend for the area? Seed those questions and answer them. That gives more context to your Google profile. You can come up in separate searches because of the actual Google posts and the questions that you've put in place. So that's what you want to do in the Google Map listing itself in order to optimize it. And then secondarily is what we want to build a consistency of our name, address, and phone number, NAP, right? Lots of references to your company name, address, phone number with consistency. And we want to limit duplicate information, limit incorrect business information like an old address, somehow still being shown, or a different phone number, a different website being linked. Consistency is really what matters in terms of your citations across the web. There's these things called aggregators that basically take all the listings and then put them into these directories and then feed that information out to third-party online sites and directories. The top 4 are Factual, Axiom, Infogroup, and Newer. Each of them have their own database, and each of them can really actually syndicate to hundreds of different websites. And so what I see an issue with a lot of companies is they'll go to Google, they'll update their name, address, phone number, and they'll think, okay, I've updated my stuff. When really there's actually hundreds of other directories that have that name, address, and phone number different. And so sometimes you look at a scan and say, there's lots of inconsistency. I'm going to go to each one of those websites and I'm going to update it. And you go in, or somebody on your team or a VA or someone goes in, updates that on a couple dozen sites. And then you're like, okay, I should be good. I should have the consistency there. But then you check back in a couple weeks later and it's showing the wrong information again on those sites you just updated. Well, that's because these data aggregators actually feed those hundreds of sites. So if you don't go back to that original source and update the aggregators, you're going to continually respond incorrect information about your company, which is going to pass a negative signal to Google in terms of how you rank. And so this is one of those simple things. You invest a little money, you actually claim and update those 4 listings, and you can go back to the root, go back to the source. My favorite tools for this are Yext, which is a direct API to those top 50 online directory listings. Also, Moz Local, White Spark, Advice Local, Bright Local. These are all tools we use in local SEO. Again, if you choose to work with us or a company like ours, most of us can set these up for you properly in addition to the data aggregators. Make sure you've got that consistent profile, which is one of the keys to getting ranked on the Google map. So best practices with the citations here: manually claim and optimize the Google business profile. Don't go to one of these third-party sources I'm talking about for your Google business profile. You want to go to that profile itself and do it. You can use a tool like Yext to push out to those other top 50 citation listings. With Yext, there's a love-hate relationship in local SEO. That gets you into the listings, but you have to actually pay them on a monthly recurring basis to keep those listings, which isn't true for some of the other tools. What I like about using tools for this is it's immediate, right? And sometimes you can manually claim those 50 directories and you can manually change them one by one. But that's super time consuming and hard to keep track of. You have to remember passwords for all those different 50 sites. They're still going to pull from other sources to update, where those tools give you a direct update to all 50 of them. And if you think about the 80-20 principle, it's those 50 sites that generate 80% of the traffic, 80% of the authority, 80% of the value. And so we want to get those ones right. Get yourself updated and claimed on the 4 major data aggregators, and then leverage tools like Bright Local, Citation Finder, Whitespark, LoganX to find niche opportunities or citations that are actually specific to your location. There's the big sites you think of like Angie and Nextdoor, but then there's these little local directories, local business directories to your area. And then there's home service specific directories, even to lawn and landscape companies, that are very niche that you can add yourself to. In a lot of cases, carries a lot of authority. They might not actually get you a lot of like traffic or calls and blow up your phone, but they're passing authority back to your company and your main listing to promote that Google listing. So hopefully that's clear. Type citations. I know it's a hard word to spell. If you find that this is a little bit clearer, you know what citations are, why they matter, how to focus on updating your consistency. Okay, cool. Okay, so here's the top list of the citation sources. I've got all this stuff linked in your workbook too. That's one of the goodies I was referring to. So check these ones out. Make sure you get listed on these ones. All right, factor number 3, super important, real reviews. Real reviews from your real customers in your real service area. Like I said before, all other things being equal, the company with the most reviews tends to win. And so we want to leverage tools to request a review after every visit or project completed. We want to train our team to create a world-class experience, train our team, the installers, the employees in the field, to plant that seed, right? They come in, they do their thing, they create a great experience, and then they say, hey, we'd love it if you take some time to share a review with us. And then if you can get them to have their tablet or just a little review card and say, hey, here's a QR code. Could you please scan this? That'll take you straight to the page where you can request a review. So that's in addition to the email or text message going out right after the job. And this can work really well to build up your reviews. But when we look at the companies, the top companies that have the best online rankings and have the best online reviews, they've built that process into their culture, right? Which means their team is focused on creating world-class customer experience. When they have their weekly or monthly huddles, they're recognizing this as an organization. They've got all the employees there saying, hey, we got 17 new reviews last week. Johnny over here generated 12 of those. And so we're taking Johnny out to a steak dinner, right? Or we've actually had clients say, okay, we're going to make Johnny the employee of the month, and we're going to give him a bonus for that month. When you celebrate that online review and put some incentives behind it, create a culture around it, that's when you really start to see the momentum with the online reviews. The other big thing is leveraging automation, and the way we request reviews over the years has changed, right? It used to be, how do we get a review? We ask the customer, and a very small percentage will actually do it. Then there was a while where we started to use tools like Nearby Now, things like that. It's okay, I'm going to type in a customer's name and an email address and then press a button, and that's going to request a review for me. In today's market, we want to set it up where this gets triggered from your CRM or financial system. Let me know what CRM or financial system you use. Are you using Service Titan? Are you using Aspire, Service Autopilot, just QuickBooks? Are you using something else? Just let me know in the chat. Cool. Next, Copilot QuickBooks, excellent. Decent mix. Most of these are web-based today, which means there's APIs. All that means is you can hook your automations into those so you can have them send reviews for you when jobs get marked as complete or paid. So the second a job is closed in whatever platform, let's just say Aspire, it triggers the automation to say, hey, thanks so much for your business. It was a pleasure to serve you. We'd love it if you'd write us a review. And it's sending that via email and text message, and the customer clicks the link and their Google profile comes up and they just have to click the button to write the review. When you do that and you don't gate the reviews, you don't make it a manual process, those are the clients we see with exponential increase on online reviews. And if you've got an exponential increase in the reviews, you're going to tend to win the day. The next is your website, right? We'll do a whole session around this, how to set up your website, how to optimize the pages, how to optimize the links and everything else. I'll do the 80-20 part of this, but it's really about having pages for each of your services, pages for each of the cities you operate in, optimizing those pages with the title tag, the H1 tag, the actual content being unique, quality, and speaking to your process as a company rather than just talking about the benefits of the service, making sure the website loads quickly, lots of little things you can do on the website itself to improve the probability of ranking. And so a great example of all of this put together is this company where we work with Hunter Springs Landscape Artisans. If we go to Google and type in landscaper in their service area, you can see they're coming up prominently on the maps. And this was from their third month of working with us. They come up really well organically too. And so looking at the results here, 4,500 spend in this third month, 175 leads. So that's $25.86 average cost per lead. That's 25 from organic, 53 from paid. And again, the lion's share, 97 from Google Maps. So the Google Map obviously is driving a lot of the results. And it's not just for that one keyword that we were showing in that example, but a lot of different searches. And that's the power of getting the organic dialed in and getting ranked on that Google Map. We can have a really effective cost per lead to grow into scale. So I just wanted to show you an example of what's possible when you guys get this dialed in. There's other things we do with off-page site syndication, building up authority that can drive those organic results too. I don't want to bore you guys to tears with this. I just want to give you enough detail on the 80-20. If you want to get into more specifics, check out the workbook that we shared. That gives you the checklist. It gives you, here's what we want to do with the business information, the categories, the description, the other add-on things we put in place, how to do the video verification. If you guys would like some help with this, whether it's you want us to do a review of your website, want us to run a ranking report, give you a list of those most important keywords, or actually talk about how we can help you get ranked, and more importantly, how we can help you drive better results online, you can go right there to wslandscapemarketing.com/schedule, give us some information about your company, and schedule a time to connect and go deeper with this. You guys can also call us anytime, 585-497-3448, or just scan that QR code on the screen. No pressure. We'll just give you a marketing audit. We'll do our due diligence, and we'll have a good value conversation and at least give you some good takeaways you could implement yourself. So that's the scoop, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to post it in the chat. We'll stick around for a little bit in case you have any questions. Excellent. So that's it for today. Thank you guys again for being here. Thanks for investing the time with me today. Tune in next month. We're going to be talking all about AI and how to get more visibility in generative search like ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini. Awesome. All right, guys, we'll talk to you again real soon. Thanks again for coming. Bye now.